And the thing is, only one of these cons can win. So the other two are going to come out losers of this season, and this is the legacy they're going to leave behind. A problematic, racially charged season. Here we are, back to talk about the Big Brother 28 season. Again, I gotta say, I'm so over these dumb fucks. I'm talking about both the cast and production, because what a complete clusterfuck of a season. I'm gonna quickly talk about the little bit of gameplay that there is going on, and then we have to address the ever-growing problematic nature of this cast. Even a couple of articles have started coming out about the season. I only have the energy to make this short and sweet today, but don't worry, I will still go hardcore. As for the gameplay, Dee and Devens discussed how the Boar 4 were celebrating too much, thinking they are safe, which is what I said would happen yesterday. They have backed off of targeting Drew this week and don't want to get Drew out, despite Drew once again being put up by his own alliance members for the second time this season. They now want Mallory to be a renom, like I also said would probably happen a couple days ago. So if Mallory threw a challenge, she was dumb. And Mallory just being so totally scared of playing has started to hinder her very much so. Could get her out this week. And this is why just trying to be at the bottom of a big alliance, especially this late in the game, is some of the weakest gameplay you could possibly do. Now, maybe not the weakest, though, because that is Drew and Barrett's whole games, to try and be the weakest players ever. And no other season, like truly think about it, in no other season, a person would be in an alliance only to get nominated by that alliance twice now, and then only try to appease that alliance more. No, at the very least, someone in another season would at least try and pivot in some way or form. But no, not Drew. He just sticks trying to prove loyalty to the three cons. But this is important because even though Drew's problematic prejudice against Taylor and Lala continues, with comments always trying to make them out to be aggressive, always joking someone needs a bodyguard,
you should be her bodyguard. It's just a scary game right now.
or only seeing them as cooks and cleaners, I still believe the vets are responsible for this problematic house overall. One more thing, though, about the game, because I don't really care about the game today, because none of the players in the game care, so why should I? Because every single player right now seems very much content playing at the bottom of the vets. But that is the whole point of today's video. Remember that this whole season, we have been saying that the only thing that matters for this show this season is making sure the vets get further, and how it has seemed nothing matters unless all roads lead to the vets. Well, that includes the problematic prejudice, old behavior, and that old egg-shaped Karen Angela is definitely the start of it always. But I do want to talk a little bit about Lala winning the veto. Look, she might be pushing 60, but when it comes to these physical-esque challenges, she seems to really excel at them, and it sounds like nobody really even came close to her in this veto. So good for Lala. She is at least a physical threat. I can see Lala getting a winning vote in the end, depending on who she is up against. I really could see that. I think most people left could win, except maybe Drew and Taylor. Nobody wants to respect Taylor's game right now in this very much White House. And Drew, especially if Mallory goes home this week, I have a very hard time seeing him get a winning vote. Because even in a bitter jury against a con, I feel like more people might be bitter against Drew. So that's something Drew has going against him, and it's what he deserves. Lala is responsible, though, for these awful losers being able to try to use this week against Lala and Taylor, because they already associate those two together because they're black. But before Lala had her HOH meeting during her HOH week, where she had that meeting to rah-rah against the three cons, Taylor and Yash had been telling her to not say too much But what did she do? She said too much with Barrett and Drew in the room. And Taylor wasn't even in the room at the time, but she still gets lumped into that conversation because two black women. The argument last night between Taylor and Angela was a damn good argument from Taylor because people are trying to gaslight her like she doesn't play the game when the fact is nobody has wanted to play with her. The cast had microaggressions from day one, if you can remember when dumbass Devons walked in and ignored her when shaking everyone's hands. And that even made the edit. And that was a disrespectful microaggression from jump. So last night, after Angela had a convo with Lala and Taylor caught Angela running it back to Drew, I am glad that Angela got called out on her Karen shit from Taylor here for doing one thing to your face and then going and using an old rotund white woman behavior to spin a web of depicting Taylor as scary from jump, or Lala in some cases as well. The only difference between this season and Big Brother 24, when the house had all of these microaggressions against Taylor Hill, is that this Taylor Brown, does not give a fuck and will stick up for herself and will go at you. And that is what Taylor did with Angela last night, and it was long overdue. We'll get to the old face jumping in a second, but let me stick to Devons. And I'm not doing the hee ha ha Karen watch today. I am serious because Devons and his dumb wife likely put an end to Devons' hopes and dreams of continuing to be a fame whore reality TV star by letting Devons do this show. In fact, I think Becca talked him into doing this show. Yikes. Because, you know, he wants to be a fame whore class clown so much that now he is adding racist jokes into his game, which on a show now under a microscope for problematic racially charged behavior and comments is just not smart. Though Devons has never been bright, let's be honest. That is for sure. He made a chicken joke that Taylor said, you know, she used to sell lemonade. She used to have a lemonade stand.
Taylor doesn't actually run a lemonade stand. She runs a silky chicken stand.
Oh my god.
But worse off are these freedom fighter jokes. I don't know how it started. I could not hear it when Angela first mentioned it after the nomination ceremony. I don't know if she was saying that Haley was Lala's freedom fighter or if that's what Lala said, but I think Angela just pulled it from her ass. I think Angela could have again started it being her rotund Karen self. And I'm doing some assuming here. I'm doing some assuming that Angela is the one that started it, but I don't care. She is the first person on feeds we heard say it. She said it multiple times. And Angela has done a lot of assuming about Taylor and Lala this season, so fuck it. But Devons is now joining in with these very suspicious freedom fighter jokes.
I needed him to defend me. He's like my freedom fighter.
What's happening?
But even worse, let's talk about Devons' cam talk earlier in the day, where he gave his long diatribe as to why he doesn't like Lala and Taylor, among other things, but these were definitely main points in his diatribe. For Lala, it's because she's always allegedly naggy, basically. I think Devons was overblowing what he was saying about Lala. But whatever, you know, Lala and Devons don't like each other. But Devons is going to have to totally miss me with his bullshit regarding Taylor. Because he yapped about how all Taylor does is lay in bed and how Taylor would not win a jury vote, but how he wants to keep actual competition threats in the game. It all sounded very dumb to me that Taylor needs to go this week because all she does is sit in bed. It did prove to me that he is dumb like his wife, where he then had this quote saying, Taylor is just literally frustrating. It's like other people would love to be here, Taylor, and love to be doing this. Why aren't you participating? And she never has. It's not like she's reached a state of being depressed and away from home too long. She has always stayed in her bed all day. Taylor tried very, very hard to play with Devons, and that's why he can shove all of this information up his ass. Devons did not want to play with her, so like I said, he can miss me with this bullshit. Taylor has tried to play with Devons a lot in this game, despite Devons not even shaking her hand when he first walked in the door. And then we have people like Barrett the bitch, who is the one that actually hasn't played. But also, like, what has Mallory and Mallory done? Nothing. They've done nothing. absolutely nothing. They have been afraid to play this game. But then a little longer into the day, Devons came out of the diary room and suddenly changed his tune. Suddenly Mallory is a threat and Taylor would be better to put in jury. So yeah, the DR did talk to the cons like I said they would yesterday. I knew they would do that yesterday. And some tunes have been changing and they've been having their little cam talks with the people trying to do a little bit of damage control. One smart thing, and the only smart thing Devon said during this diatribe talking to the cameras, was that he doesn't want to sit next to Dee in the end because he doesn't know if he can beat Dee. Do I believe that he won't take Dee to the end, though? Not really. But anyway, Devons has a pattern now. Ignoring Taylor when he first walked in, never actually trying to work with her, now running down Taylor like she doesn't play. He joined in on all of the early things, trying to drive Lala crazy with dirty towels and making the house dirtier. Now he's making race-baiting jokes. That's a pattern. During Taylor's argument with Angela, Haley did decide to bring her botched face into it and try to call Taylor out and try to, in one way, be a peacekeeper, but really actually trying to stick up for Angela. All that progress the past 2 weeks out the window for Haley, back to also trying to appease her fellow Karens. But again, I go back that this all goes through the vets. The house is already all about appeasing the vets on a game level. They've been doing this entire season. So many players in the house trying to appease the vets, and if they weren't, they went home early. And now everyone on the cast and production look dumb as hell for setting the season up this way, because these supposed icons, who are really just cons, have showed their asses. You know, Dee is HOH. She's being less Karen than some of the others this week, but she still has only referred to Lala as Taylor as bitches. They're the only ones that she refers to as bitches. She's still a part of it. And the thing is, only one of these cons can win. So the other two are going to come out losers of this season, and this is the legacy they're going to leave behind. A problematic, racially charged season. Melody added to the let's all gang up on Taylor and Lala festivities. She got upset that Lala wouldn't let her use cake batter, and so she took the covers off of Lala's bed and hid them. Again, these prank wars are whatever to me, but I do think that the last person you should probably want to be compared to is Big Brother 15 Aaron, but here we are, you know, messing with the black woman's bed when there's a lot of racial animosity going on in the house. Dumb look. Mallory and Melody suddenly like Lala and Taylor less, even though last week they didn't. But they're absolute sheep, especially Melody. She jumps into thinking she is now a part of the cool group, and she is doing all of this when Mallory might be blindsided this week as the renom. Just nothing there in these minds this season whatsoever. And even Drew alluded that Melody hiding the covers was almost like a bullying. So here she is, always pathetically following this 22-year-old guy, and even he's kind of calling out some poor behavior from her. I hope Melody's mom is proud of her game, even though I'm pretty sure her mom is probably even asking, like I always ask, what game? What game does Melody actually have? So terrible. Honestly, you can't make up how big of a joke this cast is and how much sheep have been in this cast. And speaking of sheep, we will end on Barrett today, because Barrett is definitely one of the biggest sheeps for the vets, but he's also sheepishly trying to make these little defenses of Taylor here and there, but then he'll just walk away or shut up, because Barrett, I think, is the only one that truly sees the optics. But I guess he only cares about his game. But again, it's like, what game? Barrett hasn't won shit. He hasn't done shit except be a rat for Dee. He is someone that could still pivot. But even with the shitty, non-existent game that Barrett is playing, I do feel like he could win with the bitter jury. And you all know how much this season I have dragged Barrett. And I think it's been much deserved. And if he does somehow win, he would be probably the worst winner ever. But the season does deserve a bitter jury. I think it does. I think we're going to have a bitter jury. And I don't know how that's going to shake out. But right now, there's not a whole lot of gameplay. People are just content with playing from the bottom. Then the people on top are still going to blindside people because that's what these survivors love to do. But it's also what Mallory and Mallory deserve this week for acting so dumb. Still a lot of problematic behavior going on in the house. Articles have begun to be written. And this is what production wanted, I guess. Let's put on these cons and let them control the house and give them everything. And now look at the house. Super problematic.